Remember the Dishman Hills natural area? I do. And I went here again. It was a hot day and I was only here for a little while. Today I might be here a little bit longer. I came in at a slightly different angle and for some reason I ended up here and I'm trying to find the main trail. And I can't be that far from it, but I'm trying to see where I can hook up to the trail. So I found the trail through the elite backwoods skill of consulting Google Maps, and I'm going to be following this trail up, which last time I was here, this was the trail I came down. So apparently I was not supposed to be there, but for context, I came in a park-like area, and I followed what looked to be a trail, so I don't put too much blame on myself when it's not clearly marked. But now we are on the true trail. So yes, I remember going through all of this before. It was in a very different context. That was in July, and it was like a relatively cool day in July, but that's quite different than November, early November. I can hear a trickle of water coming down that rock face there. It has rained lately, but also there's just going to be a lot of groundwater this time of year, but not as much as I'm used to. If you look at this trail between these rocks, if we were west of the Cascades, there would be flowing water right now and my feet would be very wet, but it is still drier here in Spokane, even in November. So I just came from this direction, and in July, this is where I started back down, and I had come from that direction way back in July and just did a small loop. There's actually a four-way intersection here, but today I'm heading up here. Well, we are still on the trail, apparently. Trail has changed. We're in a more dense woodland here. Very shady. It's also been a really quiet day on the trail. I saw some people in the parking lot when I came in. There was a lot of cars there, but it's been very tranquil on the trail itself. It's probably pretty obvious from the video, but this has been all uphill and there's been very little flat stretches and they've all been very short. Yeah, we are climbing up a hill and it is vigorous, but in cool weather it's not terrible, but it is, yeah, it does take some effort. This, for example, is about as good of a rest as the trail is going to give me, and then it's probably going to be more uphill. Of course, on the way downhill, it will all be downhill, but then it might be steep and difficult in a different way. So the path has picked up, and I think we are heading to the peak of the loop right ahead, but what that means is very variable. So the trail continues this way, but there does appear to be a little hook that leads up to a viewpoint. So let's see what's up here. So yes, this was worth scrambling up. Let's see what I can see from the very top. Looks like it did rain. Impermeable rock, and then you can see down into Spokane Valley all the way to Idaho. So this is what makes the hike worth it, and also I'm glad I explored this little hook in the trail. And over in that direction, not as easy to see Spokane Valley, but there's Spokane proper. Great panorama from up here. Also very, very windy. I'm also glad I got up and got out today. A lot of these cold, dark, short days, it's difficult to motivate myself. Luckily today was a clear day. It is cold, but it's clear. And I'm just glad I'm not at home hitting refresh on 3 internet tabs over and over again. And instead, I'm out here. In that direction, to the south, there's another peak. And as I understand this natural area, it's separated into separate areas with separate entrances. And I think that's a place that is part of the area, but I think it might only be reachable through other entrances. And in any case, I'm not going to find out today. Today, I'm going to head down and finish the loop. There in that tree you can see some type of little bird. Could be a dark-eyed junco. Can't see whether its head is dark or whether that's just the shade of the tree, how it's sitting in the tree. And much like I said a couple weeks ago on the other trail, hasn't been a very busy day for wildlife here, even at the level of like that might be the first songbird I've seen, which makes sense. We're getting into November. We're actually pretty far into November, you know, November 6th, 7th. And so, yeah, that's something you can kind of imagine. Things are dormant and going to sleep, but still beautiful even without that wildlife. Also, around the next bend, I mean, I might see a puma fighting a black bear. You just never know. So it looks like the loop is looped, and I'm going back downhill. Did see one other person with 2 dogs. So I think I've seen 2 people, 3 dogs so far on this trail. Right here, looks like we have a sign. So from here, I'm going to the left. So today, I will have traced basically all the way around the park. Now, there's some side trails I wouldn't have taken today, but in general today I'm going to see more or less all the trails. And there's good signage here and good directions because there's a lot of people and there's a lot of little side trails. So even when I think I'm lost for a minute, there's good direction. So I'm heading this way, all downhill from here, as they say. Every time I think my life is tough, I think what it would be like to be a pine tree growing out of a crack in the rocks. Apparently, somebody put a little mini labyrinth here. And the last time I walked a labyrinth, I was in Kvitabat. So let's see what happens when I walk to the center of this carousel. When I said that it would be all downhill, I was a little bit wrong because there has been some up and down. And the trail actually is a little bit rougher here if you look at all these rocks. So in general, this Dishman Hills area is pretty gentle and an easy hike or just an easy walk, but in places it does get a little bit tricky. Also, for reference, we've gone through a number of landscapes with some of it being like a more dense closed forest, and then we go into this more typical open ponderosa woodland. Also, a lot of big, nice rocks. I'm glad the trail is marked here because otherwise I might think I was lost going up to this pass between these 2 rocks. I was going to say that this landscape looks almost volcanic, but of course this is actually volcanic in a way, called basalt. And over there, that hill, that is Beacon Hill. So I said earlier that I was disappointed in the lack of megafauna. Obviously, we do have some deer here. So we're back in kind of the park part of the trail. One interesting thing about this is the lower areas do seem like they are you know, like more of a park experience. And you see on the, you know, close to the parking lot, you see a lot of like casual walkers, and then I'm tired. Then you go up and you really do have a solitude experience of solitude. And this is also reachable by the number 9 bus, which runs every 15 minutes. And it is one of the places, like a lot of places around Spokane, I like it because you come here and, you know, you're close to transit and close to the city, and then you just walk in and you really do get kind of like, you know, that little bottle nature experience, and it feels more like a natural area than a park. And so that's what I have to say about Dishman Hills. Glad I got to come here again and see more of it. Especially as we get into the winter. That's one of the reasons I came here, is it's really accessible, you know, when you have limited daylight. So, yeah, I hope you liked seeing it, and consider visiting some natural areas yourself. But for now, it's the end of the week. And I'm almost out of storage. And I'm also like 9 days behind on videos. So this one might not be coming out for a while. Okay, I think I might have taken a wrong turn because I thought I was really close to the parking lot. And that suddenly now I'm in this very steep drop. Although you can see the road in the distance, so I'm not that far away. But this park has a couple surprises like that.